Hi, it's Victor here from SecPoint with the weekly IT security news. We have a lot of very interesting news for you today. The first one is about Apple being hacked in China. So far it looks like it's been reported to be the government that has hacked them, and of course the Chinese government is denying that, but it has forced Apple to launch updated security guidances on how to secure the systems. It was in the launch of the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus, and the target was to steal a lot of information about people. Another story from the UK. It is now admitted that half of the UK citizens have been affected by cybercrime in one way or the other, such as fraud, ID theft, hacking, online abuse, or simply having their computers infected with malware or viruses. One of the countries in the EU that is a very, very high target for cyber criminals. Adobe, the very popular PDF reader, it is now exposed to being spying on the readers. If you're reading any DRM material, for example, maybe you bought an ebook, every page you are turning and where you're looking at the page, where you're scrolling, your markings, everything is being leaked over an SSL. Everything is being sent to Adobe, and this way they can make a pattern on their users and see what they are reading. And the question is if that is something the user want without their knowledge. So think again when you're reading online things, or when you're connected online, when you're reading an ebook, that all your data is being leaked. Then we have very interesting story about people that are using the new iPhone fingerprint authentication on the phones, and more devices are adapting this. We also seen it on Android devices such as Samsung, and people or users that are using this type of technology or authentication is forfeiting the Fifth Amendment. And the Fifth Amendment protects you from offering knowledge that could incriminate yourself. But due to a new ruling, cops can manhandle you and simply force your finger on the phone to unlock your phone, and that way get access to it. And that's like if they want to, and the Fifth Amendment protects you from that. And that's like if they want to get into your house, they can take the keys, put it in your hand and force your hand to open the door, which of course is not allowed. So again, the question is for the users, do they want to use any fingerprint authentication scheme after this has been revealed? Better think again before you use this type of technology. Then we have a story about the Pirate Bay founder. One of the founders, Gottfrid Svartholm, found guilty in hacking of the in the large hacker case in Denmark, the biggest case ever in Denmark. We have been reported on the hacking case earlier as well. There are 5 main problems in the case. Problem number 1, the Danish police actually ignored the whole thing in the beginning when they were notified about it, didn't do anything about it, didn't investigate it. So it looks like they didn't care about it, and then they got pressure on them to do something about it afterwards. Second problem is that there have been modified evidence in the case. There were several chat logs that was actually used as some of the hardcore evidence, and it has been revealed that chat logs have been modified. So if evidence have been modified, then you don't know what have been changed, so can it be used at all, is the question. Also, the problem number 3 is about if somebody, the whole case was about that the target Gottfrid Svartholm, he said that somebody hacked his system because he had an open system and used that as a platform to hack the other systems. And due to this case here, it seems you are responsible if somebody are hacking your system and hacking a third party from your system. And if we look back on the UK case, we see that more than 50% of the users have been affected in some way. So how can you be sure your system is not being hacked? And here, of course, problem number 5, no good investigation was done about several IPs being on the system that had access, and they simply didn't investigate it. So it could be one of those IPs that did the hack. It seems the case has been appeal to the next stage, so we will follow on and see what will happen. And then we have a case about the EU to host the biggest ever cyber security exercise in a 24-hour wide security assessment with the help of 200 firms and 400 cyber security professionals. So they are making cyber simulated attacks and to prepare for future attacks. This is to train. You could even argue if there's a cyber war going on and every country is now arming in the cyber world and not just with machine guns. Then we have another story about it. We talked about earlier about the Apple Pay system, and one of the rivals called Currency got hit by hackers. And the whole question is that all the payment, all the cash is now going online, and can that be trusted or can it easily be hacked? So again, when you're using the fingerprint, again, let's say somebody steal your phone, they take your finger, they force it on it for payments, or for example the cops. You are fortifying your Fifth Amendment, and again, do you want to go in that direction? Is it safe for the user? The story we have is about the White House being under large hack attacks, and that is just the story we talk about, that every country are building their own cyber armies for online hacking. And of course, the question is here, who did the attack, who was behind the attacks? It forced the White House to take down the systems. It is unclear if any sensitive data was leaked, of course, and they blame it as a Russian attack, possibly the Russian government. But again, who knows? So a story about that future soldiers will not be the ones with the machine guns, but actually it will be the ones that are best at playing the computer games. So they can simply sit in a remote location, send out the drones, and everything will be like a computer game attacking foreign countries without even sending any troops. And the question, of course, is if this is a parallel, if the whole systems get intelligent, like in the Terminator series foreseen more than 25 years ago. And again, the question is if they can control everything on their computers. What happens if somebody hacks into the military system and send all the drones on themselves? About also a black energy malware that has compromised several industrial control systems for more than 2 years. Looks like a professional attack made by a government or some kind of agency. We have a remote root execution vulnerability in Cisco equipment was patched 3 years after it was publicized in the Telnet. And you can even ask the question is if anyone is still using Telnet in 2014. And of course it can be on a lot of older routers, older equipment, where it's very hard to patch all the systems, close it down. So again, if you're running any Cisco equipment or you have the Telnet running, you have to make sure you have patched it or simply disable or block incoming traffic to the Telnet. Big superpower, the US, but we are seeing a counter saying to the US that Moscow and Russia and Beijing and China, they're making their own cybersecurity ops as a relevance to the American one. So it looks more and more like the Americans are not the only superpower anymore. Story in the follow-up to the medical hacking we talked about last time. The feds are now examining medical devices for fatal security flaws that could allow remote attackers to disable hard devices, overdose them. We talked about Dick Cheney disabling Wi-Fi in his pacemaker and many other devices. For example, also ties into car hacking. You can disable a car while it's driving, and what happens when it crashes and somebody. Controversy with the whole Tor system, if it is secure, if it's not secure, if it's the government that actually made it. There's a story about that several binaries that were downloading from the Tor were infected with malware coming from a Tor exit node located in Russia. Can you trust the Tor network anymore, if you could even ever trust it in the first place? We also have a story on the Drupal 7. If you're running a site running Drupal 7, there's a very, very large, big possibility that it was already hacked if you didn't have it patched within the first 7 hours, since automatic bots and systems could hack it easily, looking for this vulnerability. And of course, if you're running a Drupal, make sure check all the files, the MD5 ones, make sure it's not being hacked. And if you have been hacked, restore from backup. So for more information about the SecPoint news, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for more information, please visit secpoint.com. Thank you.